It was an unusually cold morning when 15-year-old Maya Thompson walked into the distinguished Silverstone Bank, wearing her school uniform, an immaculately pressed blazer, a pleated skirt, and sensible shoes. Maya had never been to the bank alone before, but today was different. Today, she was going to make a deposit, a $4,000 scholarship check she had earned for excelling in science. It was a validation of her hard work, but more importantly, it was proof that she didn't need anyone to hold her hand to achieve her dreams. As she approached the teller's counter, her heart raced. Behind the counter stood Mrs. Jessica Carter, the bank's manager. A woman in her late 40s, dressed in expensive, well-tailored clothing, Mrs. Carter had an air of superiority that Maya had always found unsettling. Maya handed over the check with a steady hand, trying her best to remain composed. The moment Mrs. Carter took the check, her smile faltered, just for a second, but enough for Maya to notice. "A $4,000 check?" she said, her voice rising a bit too loudly. "For a student your age? Where did this come from?" Maya's face flushed with embarrassment, but she quickly regained her composure. "It's a scholarship for academic excellence," she replied calmly, her voice unwavering despite the tremor in her hands. "I have all the necessary documents right here." She handed over her award letter and student ID with a sense of pride, hoping it would put an end to the scrutiny. The teller, a young man named Sam, took the check and scrutinized it with a suspicious gaze, lifting it up to the light as though searching for a flaw. After a long, uncomfortable silence, he exchanged a glance with Mrs. Carter, who was eyeing Maya with a mixture of doubt and disdain. "We've had a lot of fraudulent checks recently," Mrs. Carter muttered, her voice dripping with judgment. "I'll need to verify everything." Maya's heart sank. What was supposed to be a simple transaction now felt like an interrogation. She swallowed hard, trying to push back the growing lump in her throat. I need to call my mom," she stammered. "She's expecting me soon, and I don't have my phone with me." Mrs. Carter barely acknowledged her, her attention still on the check. "That's not our problem," she said, her tone cold and dismissive. "You'll wait until we finish the verification process." As Maya stood there, feeling the weight of judgment on her shoulders, she realized that this moment wasn't just about a bank deposit. It was about something far deeper, something she hadn't fully understood until now. Maya was forced to stand in a corner of the busy bank lobby, her mind racing as she observed the world around her. The clock on the wall ticked louder in the silence of her thoughts. The hustle and bustle of the bank continued, but for Maya, it was as if time had frozen. She felt every eye in the room on her, every whisper just a little too loud, every glance tinged with judgment. Some people were curious, others skeptical, and some seemed to look at her as if she didn't belong. Her mind wandered to her mother, Dr. Naomi Thompson, a respected financial analyst who had built her career from the ground up. Naomi had always taught Maya to be proud of her achievements, to stand up for what was right, and to never let anyone make her feel small. But now, in this moment, Maya could feel her mother's words slipping away, swallowed by the reality of being treated like an outsider simply because of the way she looked. She noticed the other customers in the bank being treated differently. An elderly couple walked in, well-dressed and greeted warmly by Mrs. Carter, who escorted them to a special area. Maya, by contrast, hadn't even been offered a seat, let alone a friendly greeting. Then, a young man with a thick accent approached the counter. His paperwork was similar to Maya's, but Mrs. Carter waved him away dismissively. "The system's slow today," she told him in a flat tone, her eyes already drifting to the next customer. Yet, when a white couple walked in with similar paperwork, Mrs. Carter's demeanor shifted entirely. She practically beamed, ushering them to the counter with a smile. Maya clenched her fists at her sides, a surge of anger rising inside her. It wasn't just poor customer service, it was something much darker. She had been standing here for what felt like hours, treated like an inconvenience because of the color of her skin. As she stood in the corner, helpless, the harsh truth hit her. It wasn't about the check, it was about how she was perceived. Mrs. Carter's voice broke through her thoughts. "Keep an eye on her," she said to the security guard, her tone cold and commanding. "Make sure she doesn't try to leave." Maya's heart hammered in her chest. She was being watched. But she couldn't give in. She couldn't let them see her crumble. Not now. Time seemed to slow as Maya stood motionless, the weight of humiliation pressing heavily on her shoulders. The cold, sterile atmosphere of the bank made her feel small and invisible, the whispers of judgment all around her. She tried to focus, to calm herself, but each passing second felt like an eternity. Then the door opened, and in walked her mother, Naomi Thompson. The transformation in the room was instant. Naomi's presence was commanding. She held herself with such confidence, a calm yet unyielding strength radiating from her. Maya's heart raced, knowing that her mother would not let this injustice slide. Naomi's eyes locked onto Maya, taking in her daughter's isolated, humiliated stance. "Maya, are you all right?" Naomi asked, her voice a mixture of concern and controlled anger. Maya nodded, fighting to hold back the tears that threatened to spill. She recounted everything: the cold treatment, the whispers, the discriminatory behavior she'd endured, and the conversation between Mrs. Carter and the mysterious man. Naomi listened intently, her face hardening with every word. She stood, her posture tall and unyielding. Without hesitation, she walked over to Mrs. Carter, who stood behind the counter with a faint smile, still smug despite the situation. Naomi's voice cut through the tension in the room. "You owe my daughter an apology," she said, her tone cold but unwavering. "And I believe you owe me an explanation." Mrs. Carter's smile faltered, and the smugness vanished as Naomi continued, her voice carrying the weight of authority. "You've been leaking confidential information to a competitor. This isn't just poor customer service, it's corporate espionage." The bank fell into silence. The air was thick with tension. Mrs. Carter opened her mouth, but Naomi didn't give her a chance to speak. "You're fired. Effective immediately," she said, her voice calm but firm. "And you will be held accountable for your actions." Security moved toward Mrs. Carter, who was escorted out, her pride shattered. Naomi turned to the staff and customers, her gaze sweeping the room. "This institution will undergo a full review. We will ensure that no one is treated with the same disrespect my daughter endured." In the following days, the bank was overhauled, policies changed, and discriminatory practices were exposed. Naomi's bold actions led to a transformation in the way Silverstone Bank operated, while Maya's courage became a catalyst for change.